Hi guys, I'm Mad Mickey, and this is my contest entry for Itari 247's contest. The challenge was to draw his OC Maya, either in pastel tones or in a Mother Nature or Earth sort of theme. So I went with the Mother Nature and Earth theme, and when I first heard the concept, my mind immediately flew to flowers. I just immediately wanted to draw a picture that had loads of flowers in it, and in particular I thought of roses, because I had this idea of Maya holding a rose with vines wrapping around her forearm. So I managed to include that in the picture, and I also put a vine around her ankle as sort of an anklet. I kind of had this idea in my head that I wanted her to be at one with nature, like she was included in nature rather than her just being surrounded by flowers. So my mind sort of wandered towards fantasy rather than, well, reality. So eventually I came up with the idea of drawing her as a fairy. And then I spent a lot of time debating on what kind of wings to put on her. And as a result, I spent a lot of time searching pictures of butterflies and butterfly wings. And I sort of chose bits and pieces out of different butterfly patterns that I liked, and sort of put them all together to create my own original wing design. And I really like how the wings turned out, which is good, because this is my first ever marker picture. Hooray! I've never used markers before this week, and I had inked this picture about 2 days before the markers arrived at my house. I had the picture inked for about 4 days before I coloured it, and I spent a couple of days just playing with the markers, because I wasn't sure if I was going to use markers or watercolours, and I needed at least a little bit of time to actually play with the markers before I went, yeah, let's put ink to paper. I ran into a few problems with the markers, but I was happy enough and I felt comfortable enough with them to go, yeah, I'll colour the picture. I was also worried about other little things, besides getting certain colours to blend together. I was worried about little things like the background. I had no idea of what to do with the background, or what I should colour them in, or colour the background in, what mediums to use, or whether I would even do a background. So in the end, I played it safe and I didn't put a background in. I was also worried about the fact that I'd never drawn someone wearing a straw hat before, even though that sounds a bit silly saying it out loud. I love Maya's character design, and I was adamant to keep the straw hat in the design. I wasn't really planning to draw her without the straw hat, but I was worried that because I had drawn her as a fairy, that if I put a straw hat on her, it would look a bit out of place. But once it was all drawn, I was really happy with how it turned out. It doesn't look out of place. I had put flowers around the ribbon, and if I could go back, it would probably change the colour of the hat because it looks too light looking back on it. But all's well that ends well. I think overall this picture took me about 10 hours to do if I break it up. The sketching and the line art took me at least 6 hours. It might have taken more, but I wasn't keeping that close an eye on the time. But the colouring side of things took me 4 hours, roughly. I just remember looking at the clock and realised I'd been sitting at my desk for far too long. It was some ungodly hour of the morning when I finished colouring this. But I was happy with the result. I was actually really happy with the result. I love how the markers look. I love the finish on the markers, and at the end of everything I went back into the picture with my white acrylic paint and just put highlights in different places and covered up any bleeding issues that I had, because I did have a couple of bleeding issues. So yeah, I hope that you like my contest entry. I hope that everyone's had fun in the contest, and good luck to anyone who's entered the contest. And hopefully I will be back with more marker pictures. Okay? Thanks for watching. Bye!